Okay, it is time, a tradition as old as, I guess, this show, to give you my predicted electoral map. Now, I want to make two disclaimers here. One, I have no idea on this stuff. I thought Hillary would win in 2016. So this is, as the children say, merely for entertainment purposes. Number two, my approach was to be conservative. I understand that 538 and the Princeton Election Consortium and others are talking about 350 electoral votes for Joe Biden. I want to have a more conservative approach. I don't think in the end Biden will win Texas and Georgia. I would love to be wrong. I don't think he will. So I have a final electoral prediction of Biden 295, Trump 243. Yes, it's a smaller margin of victory than what websites are saying. I get that it could be a bigger Biden win. But I think that not only will Trump get Texas and Georgia in the end, I think Trump will get Florida as well. And maybe even Arizona, which is really close. Any one of those going to Biden would put him over 300 electoral votes, which would be a much larger victory. But this is sort of my best guess, assuming not everything goes Joe Biden's way. I've given North Carolina and Pennsylvania to Joe Biden. But in my map, again, a conservative map, Trump gets Ohio, Florida, Georgia, Texas, Arizona, and Iowa. Now, many of these are close. Texas is leaning red still, in my view, but it could go to Joe Biden. Same with Georgia, Iowa, Arizona, Florida. They really could go either way. Now, what is Donald Trump's most likely path to victory? Going by how 2016 went, Trump's most viable path to victory tonight would be likely getting Pennsylvania and something else. If Trump were to get Pennsylvania and Michigan, Trump wins with 279 electoral votes. If Trump gets Pennsylvania and North Carolina, but not Michigan, Trump wins with 278. If Trump gets both North Carolina and Michigan in addition to Pennsylvania, then he really wins. Now, this is something else I think is important to do. A more nuanced map divides the states into those that are solidly for one or the other candidates versus leaning one way or the other. And I think that this maybe is a relevant way to look. When you look at it in terms of solid and leaning, here I am marking Texas and Georgia as leaning Trump. I'm marking North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Michigan as leaning Biden. Now, I know Michigan looks solid Biden. But if you look at the polling in Michigan, Trump has been gaining there. So I put it as leaning Biden in this map. If you think back to 2016 and the idea of the Wisconsin polls were wrong, the Michigan polls were wrong, the Pennsylvania polls were wrong. What was happening is that in that very last week, Donald Trump was gaining. He was growing his support in those states. And more than likely, if we had had 4 more days of polling, the polling would have caught up to public sentiment because public sentiment was changing rapidly in the last few days. That's not happening in Wisconsin right now. It is happening in Michigan, where Trump has been surging in Michigan, which is why in a more nuanced map, I put Michigan as leaning Biden rather than solid Biden. My assessment in this paradigm is that Biden for sure has 236 electoral votes. Trump for sure has 126. Those are the solid red and blue states. If Donald Trump gets all of his lean Trump states, he gets another 107. That puts Trump at 233. Trump doesn't have enough for 270 just with solid and leaning Trump states. What this means is Trump needs to turn something red that is not leaning that way. And that happened in 2016, although the circumstances are different. It would be some combination of Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Michigan, Arizona, and Nevada. If Trump gets his solid Trump states and his leaning Trump states and some of the leaning Biden states, he can win. Joe Biden, on the other hand, with his rock bottom base of 237, needs to find 34 additional electoral votes in the lean Biden states. This is the important thing to understand. Either candidate can win. Biden doesn't need anything leaning Trump to win. Biden's going to get his 236. And then if he gets, I don't know, Michigan and Pennsylvania, he wins. That's 36. He needs 34 more. If he gets North Carolina and Pennsylvania, then Biden wins. And in this scenario, getting Nevada and Arizona alone, which I have as leaning Biden, would not be enough. That is my final prediction. Join me tonight going live just before the 7 p.m. Eastern results come in. I will be live on YouTube. I will be live on Twitch. I will be live on Facebook. In the meantime, I put a tweet up at Pakman asking for your electoral map predictions. Find that tweet at Pakman. Send me your predictions. One of our sponsors is privacy.com. They're giving you $5 when you sign up for their completely free service at privacy.com/Pakman. I've been using Privacy for a little over a year now. You've heard me talk about it before. It's a lifesaver, and here's how it works. Takes just a couple of minutes to set up. Anytime you buy something online or on the phone, instead of actually using your real credit card number, the Privacy app and the browser plugin let you give each company a randomized virtual credit card number that you create out of thin air. It'll even autofill the card number with one click. And the payment is taken out of your checking account without the merchant ever knowing your real information. So this allows you to keep your banking information secure, but also to take control of your finances. You can create up to 12 of these virtual credit cards a month. You can set spending limits. You can freeze them. You can delete them anytime you want. So when you do this, it means you're not going to be charged when you don't want to be, because you can destroy the virtual card number right after using it, which, for instance, I love using free trials because I know I won't be charged when the trial is over if I use a virtual credit card number. You're keeping your identity private by not telling companies who you are. You're keeping your bank or credit card info protected against data breaches and identity theft, and it's free. There's no catch whatsoever. But if you want, Privacy also offers a $10 a month plan that gives you 1% cash back and lets you create 36 credit cards a month, and a $25 a month plan tailored more for small businesses where you can create 60 card numbers a month and much more. But definitely go ahead and at least get started with the free plan. You'll protect your financial info. Companies can't charge you unexpectedly. And like I said, you'll get $5 to spend when you sign up at privacy.com/Pakman.